I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're exploring two captivating novels written by a terrific author. Her name is Cam Locke. We're talking about The Four Steps and Dear Darling Lily. In The Four Steps, a contemporary Western romance, we follow Burn and Riley, whose passionate connection is tested by time, competition, and personal growth. Meanwhile, Dear Darling Lily transports us back to 1886 Texas, where the strong-willed Lily and the steadfast William navigate love, sharp words, and the evolving roles of women in the West. Cam
Mhm.
Locke's stories capture the heart of romance and the spirit of the Western frontier. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team for helping us put her in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Cam, great to see you here today on Spotlight. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. The Four Steps, Dear Darling Lily, you are a pretty prolific writer. Tell us a little bit about your writing career. How many books have you had published and that sort of thing?
Well, I started writing years ago before computers. Yes, I'm that old. And of course, didn't have any way to really learn about writing like we do today, kind of a self taught person. I've written two finished books and they've been published, and I'm working on a third. All my books take place on the Red River Ranch and with different characters. So you may see some of the same names in each book associated with the ranch, but they also have adventures away from the ranch.
Exactly. So this is becoming kind of like the Red River Ranch series in a way, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, that's great. Let's give the folks at home an overview of the four steps. Let's start there.
Okay. Yeah. Um, the four steps uh, kind of portrays a what I think is a real live showing of the rodeo world, because I did rodeo. I was an avid barrel racer. I've trained horses all my life, and it is a passion. It involves, in the beginning, a young girl named Riley, whose family doesn't have a clue about horses, and she begs for one and becomes a trainer. And by finally having a good enough horse to put in competition, meets her love, Burn Sullivant from the Red River Ranch.
Wonderful, wonderful. That is a great premise for a story and wonderful characters, wonderful locations as well. Let's talk a little bit about Dear Darling Lily.
Well, Dear Darling Lily uh, was the first part of that story came from my grandfather and is characterizes his early life. Dear Darling Lily starts with two young brothers who live in covered wagons pulled by oxen. This family traveled across the southern United States. Their livelihood was pulling stumps for farmers out of the fields for the ability to live in the shacks that dotted these southern farms for free. The stepfather eventually could not afford to feed them and cast them out of the home. These boys cross the Mississippi and go into Memphis and become young men. They survive, starting out with 50 cents in their pocket. William Sullivant learns about horses from getting a job. My grandfather supposedly. I don't think he got a job at a stable. This is where it kind of ends with the real story. Anyway, he learned all about horses, saw a flyer about a ranch, and became enamored with going to Texas to get a ranch. By circumstances, he gained an amount of money where he was able to do that, and there he met Lily.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Lily is a strong, independent woman who's unafraid to challenge norms. Tell us how you decided to write a character, or why you decided to write a character like her.
Well, I love history, and in history, a very important step, I think, was women's suffrage. So I put a little bit of that in there. And while she was raised on a ranch, she was pretty sassy, felt like she had a right to get out of the kitchen and do what men do. She liked to ride, she could rope, and her father, who doted on her, allowed all this to happen. She was a little rough on the cowhands who tried to avoid her because she spoke her mind freely until she met William Sullivant.
Amazing. Amazing. It's a great
Yeah.
story. In the Four Steps, Byrne and Riley's love story spans years. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about why you decided to explore their growth and their rekindled connection.
Um, I try to keep romance as real as I can uh, through other stories I've read, through experiences, through other people's live experience from friends or what have you. And I just felt like people either, I think everyone has some kind of issues or problems as they're growing in a relationship. And I tried to follow that route where people are allowed to reconcile, make mistakes, be forgiven, and start over.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Now, I'm sure you've envisioned both of these books as films because you've got great characters and great locales. Let's
Well,
say a
thank
direct,
you.
let's say a director came to you and said, "I want to turn one of your books into a movie." Which one would you choose first and why?
Since I love history so much, even though I love modern day rodeo as much, maybe second place, I think the historical, I would like to see how things started in the West with rodeo, which this book goes into, as the first rodeos were called cowboy shows. And they were really bragging rights where cowboys attended for bragging rights to be the best at whatever they did, roping or whatever.
Exactly.
So,
Do you enjoy rodeos yourself?
oh, I lived for them.
Yeah.
It's a passion. It's hard. It's not easy. The traveling, the expense, taking care of your animal, your family. It's not an easy road, but when you're passionate about something, you manage to overcome all the little sidebars.
Yeah. Thrilling to watch the rodeo is just
Oh yeah.
amazing. The physicality, the athleticism that's involved, the grace of the animals. It's really just quite a spectacular and uniquely American pursuit, don't you think?
Absolutely. These animals are bred today to be the best that they can be at that sport, just like you breed livestock animals for any other purpose, whether it's for the market or to use them in some type of event. They are bred to be better and better. And the money you earn today at a rodeo is in the millions. It's not just for bragging rights, it's in the millions. You can become
Amazing.
a millionaire doing this. Yeah,
Yeah, that is amazing indeed.
it
Are you,
is.
are you planning a sequel for either of the books?
I am. I'm working on a third one called Cowboy in Search of Grace and All the Little Lies, Little White Lies. And it also is on the Red River Ranch. And Grace goes missing, and the cowboy hero is in a search for her. It's got some activity in it that the other uh, stories don't have, quite as a full blown Western blowout, I'll call it, with outlaws.
Yeah.
And it's in 1906 when automobiles were becoming popular.
Amazing, amazing. The Red River Ranch, is it a real place?
No, only in
Yeah.
my head.
Well, then you
But
made it feel like a real place. That's good.
yes, the real place though is Anona, Texas, that I have placed this ranch on the outskirts of this tiny little town that is still there couple of hundred people. So,
Wonderful.
yeah,
Wonderful. When's the last time you've been to a rodeo?
I haven't been to one in quite some time for riding. Riding kind of limits your travels
Yeah,
and
that's true.
your entertainment, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Well, writing is a good thing. It's easier to write about horses sometimes than riding horses. Take it from one who
exactly.
is not the best horseman in the world. These books are both fascinating, great characters, great stories, great locales. I think they each have a winning recipe. So we're excited to see what else comes out of the Red River Ranch series. The books we're talking about today are The Fourth Steps and Dear Darling Lily. In The Four Steps, it is a contemporary Western romance. We follow Burn and Riley, whose passionate connection is tested over time, competition, and personal growth. In Dear Darling Lily, we get transported back to 1886 Texas, where the strong-willed Lily and the steadfast William navigate love, sharp words, and the evolving roles of women in the West. Cam, before we leave you today, anything else you'd like the folks at home to know about your books, your work, your life, or anything at all you'd like to add?
I want people like my characters to find a passion, work hard at it. It's the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. To have a passion like this, it's almost a habit. I
Yeah.
guess I'd say like some other things I won't talk about that people do that's not good, but they get whatever out of it. That it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Uh, you really, really have withdrawal. I miss it so much. And I think everyone who enjoyed that life is like that as they get older too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're glad you found the passion in writing because we enjoy reading your work. So keep up that great work. And folks, the links are below this interview. Be sure to order Cam's beautiful novels. More are coming. So you'll want to keep up with the story. They are highly recommended. To the folks at
Thank
home,
you.
I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight. And Cam, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you very much. I was so happy to be here.
Great having you on the show. To the folks at home, until next time, I'm Logan Crawford.